In the last video, which is the part 3 of the Cashbook transaction setup, we got the refactoring process to this level where we had done the pending list transactions, and we stopped at where we started controlling the interface for creating a new Cashbook transaction. Specifically, we were able to now initialize the presenter and the view to list the list of transaction head. So what we want to do now is, by the time we select a particular transaction head, we want to be able to list the subhead under it. So we need to intercept the select event of this particular drop down. So, and how do we do that? Definitely, we must look for the controller that will enable us to be able to listen to this. Now, I am aware that if not because of the pattern we had decided to adopt, where we wanted to leave the business object representing our view model as clean as possible, just with the properties of the items on the UI, I know of a place where you can come and write code to respond to the change events of that drop down. That is this drop down. Because anytime that drop down is changed, this code here will fire. Why? Because first of all, we have decorated the field with immediate postback. So as a web application, this will tell it that immediately the item is selected, you should make a trip back to the server. And any code you write here, for example, will execute. But we're not going to write any code again, like I said, inside our business object, which is the non-persistent view model. So we're going to, because if we don't write the code in the model, the reason why this framework is a very good thing is because there are places established for writing code. So if you don't write in the business object, it means you must try to control something from the existing controllers or your own custom controller. And in the cross-platform module, you have some folders that come established, the business objects and the controllers. But if you go to the specific, you will now see another folder called editors. And this is where you can actually take control if you want to go to the micro level of actually interacting with the editor itself, not the model. Because what we've been doing since is manipulating the model itself, the view model, which is tied to the editor. So whatever you do on the view model has a reflection on, but there's a way you can actually target the control in the library, the Devexpress library that represents this drop down. So, but for now, we're not doing that. We're still okay with manipulating the view model via the controller. So, what we want to do now is write code in the right place. And where is that place that we feel is the right place? This is it, the custom transaction view model detail view controller. That is the controller controlling this page. Somehow, we are going to find a way to hook into the click event of this thing so that we can now go and fetch all the subhead belonging to this. All right, so let me look for the code of the controller. I know I have done that in yes. Let's see. I think I did it here in this subhead. Okay. No, it's not here. It's not here. I did it. I think I did it. Okay. I know I must have done it in a particular detail view. So if it is not this one, let's check this one. Okay. Something. Let me check the specific. Okay. The transaction. I think I used it in the payables controller. Okay. Yes, this is the implementation of what I was very simple logic that I didn't need to. So the idea is that when this our view model detail is activated, we want to start listening to, first of all, we have to get a handle on the current object, which is the Cashbook transaction view model. So we're saying that anytime any of the property changes, we need to be informed. Plus equals to tab is what created the stop. So this is where we're going to write the code that we will use to track that drop down. And even in the place I used it, I can still go ahead and look for the code I wrote there. So in this case, this was the former design, but now because we have done the implementation of the view, the presenter is going to first want to get a handle on the selected transaction head, and that is what we have returned from here. So by the time we select the presenter, we're going to tell the presenter that the transaction head has been selected. And in the internal implementation, the presenter will ask for from the view, which is the UI as it is, for this value. So in this new implementation now, compared to that other one that I just showed you, what it seems the only thing we need to do here is to tell the presenter that the Cashbook transaction head has been selected. So the presenter will now get the selected head and use it to populate the subhead which we have connected back to the presenter, I mean to the UI. So somehow I think that is the only thing we need to do, apart from the fact that let's look at it, the implementation. You see that in the UI it is looking for the selected head and it is now getting the list of subhead back to the UI. So there's nothing else it is setting more than that. So we can be confident that what we have done here by calling that item has been selected, the only thing now is that this property fires every time any property changes. So we need to scope this event to just the property we are interested in, which is the transaction head that was selected. So if I come back here, I was just this is the code I need. Just come here, put this code here, right? But the name of the property now that we're tracking now, sorry, it's not the one. This is our view model. So this is the name of our property. I'm through with this for now. So function F6, so let's see eggs and grants. So you can see grants. So let's choose interest and now you will notice that after we have chosen the head, we're supposed it has gone to fetch the subhead for this interest, but it didn't clear what was there before. So we need to implement code that we clear this once we have selected this. So the right place to write that code is after this place, and we're going to need a handle on the current object. So let me go here again and borrow this code here. Okay, so the sender is always the current object. VM listener. So here we're going to get handle on the sender of this event, which is the main of view model itself. And what we want is anytime the transaction head is selected, we want to set the subhead, transaction subhead to null. So function F6. So over here. Now, what will happen? This is disabled, this is disabled because they are all dependent on each other somehow. So immediately we select this one is enabled, this is still disabled. You see, let's choose this. You can see now this is now enabled. And of course, the data is not yet there, but we'll do that. So now let me test. If I select this, it should clean and load the item. So you can see it has gone back, but it has loaded the items. I can select this and watch as everything is disabled. So once this is not selected, this one too is disabled. And in the last video, I showed you the touch points for those um, behavior as these attributes and the criteria of enabling them to be false. So what the next thing now is that classification is okay, subhead is okay, but the cash book is not listing anything. Now let's see why. Ordinarily, the cash book is part of the initialization part, so it should have been loaded also. Let it value saved. So what is wrong with it? Why is it not loading? Okay, let me see what else. It's not loading. Transaction type, reload. okay, with this, we need to also target this transaction type because it's this transaction type that will load this one. The customer must know whether a deposit or withdrawal before we know the customer. So what we did for transaction subhead is what we're going to do here to the kind of relationship between these two is the same. So what will come here now and target this property too. So the property is transaction type. You can see that all the property references are the ones with the capital letters that starts them. So the presenter has a method called transaction type selected. Now, if you're looking at what we're doing, you will see that these are the things you can tell the presenter to do, and these implementations are what the presenter wants you to do. So it's a contract. The view is a contract between the interface of the view is a contract between your own model, I mean your own interface and the presenter. So, and the same thing we did here when the transaction type is selected, this time around we want to refresh the customer supplier. So just like the way we normally refresh this one back to null when we select this, that's the same thing we should do here. Refresh this back to null when we select this. So let's refresh it. So let's see interest, and this one is still disabled because this one and this one are dependent on this one, and this one is dependent on this. When we finish implementing this one too, it's also dependent on this one. So now let's choose this one because this one is not enabled. But then we choose this one. Okay, that's cool. That's where the error is. And you cannot store it into trans type property. Let me see. Trans type property. Where is it? It's the implementation of the transaction type. Okay. Okay, let me just run it in debug mode. The debug mode normally allows it easier to detect. So most times these errors stop at the point, the debug mode will stop at the point of the error. Hmm, okay. So what I need to do to cater for all these ones thing is to initialize these properties in the view model. So what I think I need to do is to let me test it with this. Take the internals and initialize them. So this equals to this. And debug it to see if it works. It means we just make it as part of the design that every object that is a property of our view model, the corresponding field should be instantiated in the view model. Okay, this is the effect of that thing we did, which is not desirable. We don't want this. No, 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 no. So we're going to remove that. Rather, what we'll now do is a little bit inconvenient, longer, is that we will come here and do new this, and that is how we should do that. If there's any other one that asks for it, this is the best way not to get this error we're getting. So once we run it again, I like to use the other way of running the program. If I'm not having issues, there's no need using debugging because it's slower. It consumes resources. So the same thing for this one. So what we do is start there to bring this like this. So you can see when we choose deposit brings the customer, let's choose it. Or when we go back and choose withdraw, it clears the view and lists this instead. So we can run this in our normal view now and continue what we're doing. So everything seems to be okay now. The only thing now is I'm wondering why this one is not working. So I'm going to try and see why. Because the presenter in the init, see the Cashbook. Okay, no, 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 because it's working in this one. It's listing it here. So there must be something wrong with this one. So why is it not listing it? So let's see. This has nothing to do with the presenter. There must be something we're doing wrong at the point of loading the list. The Cashbook list. And did we decorate papers? Decorated it with the Cashbook list. So what can we do here wrong here? Is it because of okay, let me debug. So indeed, so about 28 of them. So let's see. Written there, so why is it not? What is the problem? Suspecting, suspecting that what I feel is that it was a change. He said only the code, which is 10 digits, and the description. Suspecting, suspecting. It's the process of converting this the 28 of them that should appear. 'Cause sure think there's a problem with or is it possible this connected to the reason why you see So trying to find out why each book is appearing with. Okay, let me see how it was done in the initial design. Something I did here. So, okay. Oh, so I think there's another one that is Cashbook subject selected. So, and that is where we need to clear Cashbook or selected. This is the problem. So what we need to do now is change the name of the field to, in this case, when this transaction subject is selected, this is what happens. We need to tell the presenter because that is when it's going to load the Cashbook list. So the function F6 from here. Okay, transaction subject property. So I know the problem. It's just like the other ones. You need to come here, take this, exit, selected transaction subject. Fix. Okay, let me just debug. Oh, sorry, I did it for transaction instead of the subject. Let me do it for all of them. Let's do it for all of them. That will be the new standard for setting properties that are business that are other objects, IDs. So, okay, let me just debug. Get straight to the problem. Okay, transaction type. So what we'll do here is that we use this operator. Okay. Mm, to be too long what we want to write. Otherwise, what we can do is to do this. Input KD. That's what did that. So the idea is once I want to do if this equals to null, return 0. So this is really the problem. So this one's not even affect. Okay, what we do is we will I will end this video here and look at the issue, and in the next video we will continue until we'll actually be saving the record in the database. So see you in the next video.